All right, here we go. We got the drone up in the air. We're about to take this thing for a spin. We're gonna engage the blades for the very first time. We did some quick calculations and we're sitting at probably right around 1.5 acres when you take out the little swamp area we got, when you take out the house and just some of the trees around the property. I came up with just over 1.5 acres. So let's get the blades going. Let's drop this down to, we're gonna drop it down to 3 inches and see how that goes. Here we go. All right, oh, that's the one weird thing about this joystick. If you do not have it perfectly centered, you will slightly move around. But we're sitting at 83% battery, and we really have not done that much of the yard. So that's one thing I want to note. I did put a couple little loops and test runs on this without the blades engaged last night. I'm sure that used a little bit of that 100% power, but we are sitting at 83% right now. And I think the most interesting thing that I'm noticing is it's saying that the 40-volt batteries are actually drained 1 bar each. But I was under the impression that the 80-volt batteries got used before the actual 40 volts. So something I'm gonna check on real quick. I'm gonna open up the back compartment here, and those are all sitting at 94 and 95%. And the 40 volts are down to 3 of their 4 bars. So I think that's really interesting because everything I read said that the 80 volts get prioritized. Once those are drained, then it switches over to the 40 volt. So I'm gonna have to double check on all that. We've probably really only mowed not even a 1/4 acre, maybe a 1/4 acre. I told you guys we're at about 1.5, so we're gonna keep rolling, see how this goes, so keep riding along.
Daisies blooming, sundress swaying in the breeze. I can't stop staring. You've put a spell on me, and I hope that you never decide to set me free. The way you're moving has got me moving my own feet. The greatest feeling that I could ever dare to dream is you forever moving next to me. Let's not waste time, we'll take this slow. We've got miles behind us, but miles to go. So let's just break this down to the simplest truth. You and I as one will always be better than two.
All right, so this front section here that you guys just watched, we're at 62%, so we went through about 18-20% of battery. We've been running around on slow. We have not gone medium or high. We've been on slow the entire mow so far, and we've also been on the blade speed of medium. So we haven't gone to high, but I'm gonna mess around with the speed and the blade setting, but I think I'm gonna do that on my second mow. I'd like to just keep this one, see how the battery runs with it on the slow speed and the way the blades are, because I plan on testing them all out and just seeing what seems to work better for the battery. But we're gonna keep to it. This section was in the shade. We're about to hop back over here into the sun, finish this front section. We just got one small area to finish over here. Then we can hop to the back, and then we'll just do a little final wrap up. All right, so we have finished our Maiden Voyage on our Ryobi 80-volt lithium-ion 54-inch zero-turn mower, joystick operated, which the joystick's pretty awesome. I don't have anything to compare it to. Not once in my life have I ever operated an actual zero-turn with the handles like this. So I can't give my honest review of how this feels. To me, it's awesome, and it's one of the main reasons that I actually went with this version of the electric mower. That and the touted distance. And we'll talk about that with this mower in just a second. I did have a couple minutes this morning where I was able to go through some of these manuals, and as much of a manual person I am not, I think there's some good information in here that's worth me at least explaining to you. The quick one I'll go over is with this LCD screen and what it can do. It's not a whole lot, but it does control your actual run speed of your blades and the mower. We ran at the lowest speed. Not once did we ever change it. We also ran our blades on medium. So those were two factors that I think are going to be important when we talk about our runtime here in a second. What I wanted to go over that this LCD panel booklet shows me, it shows me a couple indicators that you might not see unless they happen to pop up. One of those is a previous generation battery. So the 40-volt batteries that we have in here that came with this mower, and there's 4 of them, are considered new generation batteries. And what that means is they can communicate with this LCD panel and give an accurate readout of how much power they have. The booklet is telling us that on previous generation 40-volt batteries, you're not going to be able to get a proper display. You're actually going to end up with a circle with a little exclamation point on top of the battery. So that's something I wanted to mention. And then there's 2 other indicators that you might see on the battery. One is a temperature gauge that's full, and that would just mean that your batteries are overheating. That's not something we experience today. It's probably 90 degrees out right now in South Florida. That could play a factor into how quick the batteries drain. I don't know. So there is an icon that shows when the temperature is too hot, and you have the opposite of that, which is you have a temperature that's actually, there's nothing on the temperature gauge, and that means that the battery is under temperature or it's too cold to be operating the machine. So that was just the only thing on the actual LCD panel I wanted to go over. In terms of the actual manual, there were a couple things, and I think that this manual actually kind of just fits right there in this compartment right under the seat just perfectly if you just want to keep your manual close by. But I went through and I just starred a couple areas that I thought were important. So let's go over those. First thing has to do with the cutting deck wheels. So the actual fabricated deck that we have on this one has the, I don't know, what, 5-inch, 4-inch wheels attached to them. What this manual states is that when you have your deck in the position that you want it to be for mowing, that those wheels should be about a 1/2 inch from the ground. But it says the cutting deck wheels should be positioned approximately 1/2 inch off the ground when the mower is at the desired cutting height. This will minimize the chance of scalping the lawn in most situations. When shipped, the wheels are in position A. Also, these decks are removable. It looks to be fairly simple, but there's 3 cables you would disconnect, 1 for each motor for the blades, and then there's a latch in the rear that you undo, and then you just unhook the deck and it comes right off. So, you know, come winter time, if your grass isn't growing and you want to use this more as just something to pull some carts around the yard, or just treat it like a golf cart or something, you can just remove your actual deck to run around. And it's probably gonna actually save you some battery as well, because that's probably gonna take off a decent amount of weight. All right, so the back tires, they are tubeless tires. The front tire should be at 19 PSI and the rear tire at 18 PSI. I have not checked that, but that is something I'm gonna do once we finish up here. Just make sure those are sitting at the right pressure. And really the last thing I wanna mention regarding, you know, what you can find in here and what's useful is in the troubleshooting area, one of the common causes for the mower won't start, motor stops while cutting, blades do not rotate, has to do with this seat right here. This seat does have a sensor in it, and it knows if you're not on. So if the blades are running and I were to stand up, the blades would just shut off. And that's great because you have instant power usually. When I throw this thing forward, I get thrown back in my seat, which is, I mean, it's awesome, but at the same time, that can be a little bit dangerous. Same goes for the brake on this. The brake is very touchy. When you do push on this, it stops you. So let's just say you slammed on this thing and it threw you forward because there's no seatbelt here. Well, you don't want this mower to continue rolling forward if your joystick's maybe still in that forward position. So it will shut everything off when you get out of the seat. That also has to do with if you have this on and you stand up and you get out of your seat, even with your parking brake engaged, there's gonna be a beeping going on. So if you gotta get off for a prolonged period of time, I suggest you just turn the thing off. That way you don't have that beeping going on. Talking about the seat is awesome. It's very comfortable. This adjustment knob right here is actually for a softer or firmer feel, so that's really up to you. Don't know why anybody would not want it on the softer feel, but you have that adjustment, plus you have the ability to go back and forth on here, depending on how much of an extension you want. I am about 5 feet 10 inches. I shouldn't even say about, I am 5 feet 10 inches. And in the furthest back position, with my butt back against the seat, sitting upright, my feet are sitting here about 2 to 3 inches from the footrest area. So just an idea for you. You can get some really good extension until you get to about 6 feet. Then you're gonna have to start bending your knees, folks. You can also pull this thing up quite a bit, and then that's really the perfect fit for me. Right now I'm not wearing shoes, but almost in that forward position is perfect. Also where you need it if you need to get those batteries out of the very back. All right, so now let's just talk about this Maiden Voyage. So 1.6, 1.5 acres. I did not finish the entire yard. That is right. I have to inform you, because this is unbiased. I am not being sponsored by Ryobi, whoever it is. They did not send me this for free. I shelled out $7,000 of my own money. Yes, $7,000, because this was being advertised as $6,000 on the Home Depot website for 2 months leading up to the sale of this product. The day that it got released, $7,000. They touted this to be able to cut up to 4 to 5 acres runtime. All right, so we're on the Ryobi website right now on our phone. I just wanted to verify what I was about to tell you before I say it, because there's gonna be a lot of comments about this, probably negative comments, and I think this is gonna be a big point of discussion. Cuts up to 5 acres per charge. So yesterday was our very first charge. It arrived to us with 8%, actually right around 14% battery with all the batteries plugged in. We gave it a full charge. It was sitting at 100%. We took it out last night and we rode it for maybe 5 minutes around the yard, no blades engaged, testing out the slow, medium, and high speeds. That was it. The battery still showed 100% when I turned it off. So when we started this mowing, which it was hot out here, I noticed that it seemed like the batteries were dropping rather quickly. By the time I was starting the back area, we were sitting at 25% battery, and again, we were running on the slow speed for the actual driving speed. We were sitting at medium for the blade. What I can tell you is I'm a little disappointed, not a little, I'm actually a lot disappointed that I could not finish 1.5 acres on a full charge on brand new batteries, fully charged, when this is stated to cut up to 5 acres. My yard had a variance of height, and it's also thin grass. I have one section, it's probably a total of 10 feet wide, 20 feet long, where it gets really thick, and it's over by one of the septic tank areas. So there's a lot of good nutrients that grass is getting, so it's a little bit thicker. But when I got to that area, I was already super low on battery. I did not get to completely finish my backyard. 1.5 acres, touted at 5 acres, and it cut out on me. The blade shut off. I still had the power where I could still drive it, get it back to where you need to take it. But all I gotta say is that is less than 50% of what they say you can do. Basically, they're saying 5 acres per charge, and I couldn't finish 1.5 acres. You guys can do the math on that, but that's pretty, I'm gonna use the word pitiful. I've been so excited for this mower, and the main reason I went with this mower, 54-inch, because when you have a lot of acreage, you know, wider is gonna cut down on your time, but at the same time, 1.5 acres. So what this means is this is not true at all. The 80-volt batteries are not being prioritized over the 40 volts. When the 40-volt batteries were down to about 1 we still had like 50% on the 80-volt batteries. So that is completely false. And I don't know if that has to do with what's going on and why these batteries discharge so quick. I don't know if it has to do with the heat. I don't know if it has to do with the speed and the runtime of everything that I was operating here. But again, this is our first maiden voyage, but I can tell you what, I would have expected to be able to cut my entire yard. So I told you the reason I went with this was some of the 54-inch. Well, the other reason was the 5 acres. I said to myself, knowing my history with electric power tools, if it's telling me 5 acres, no way I can't complete my 2-acre property that I know is less than 2 acres with a full charge. So I'm gonna just be rolling happy, not have to worry. That's not the case. So that is how I'm gonna have to wrap up this video, which is unfortunate, which is talking about those two negatives, which is the fact that the batteries aren't discharging the way that they are stated in the manual and online. And the big one, I couldn't even cut my entire 1.6 acres on a full charge on this thing. I'm still happy that I've got this mower. I'm also happy that I'm putting it through the test rather quickly. It's not something where I'd expect myself to be returning this mower, but if I can't mow my yard consistently without this thing dying, what's the point? I need to mow my yard in one sitting. This does not need to become a multiple day event, not when you're in a state that it rains like every other afternoon. So that's what we're gonna leave it. This is a beautiful piece of machinery. It's electric, which is awesome. I didn't have to use any gas. The quietness is amazing. I was able to take a phone call while I was on here. Even though I was using Bluetooth, they could still hear the mower, but I could still hear them fine. And when you're not running the actual blades, this thing is so quiet. It is truly like a golf cart type sound. But I can't help but have this built up frustration right now of what happened with the battery discharging so quickly and not being able to finish my yard. But thank you all for checking out this video. It's gonna be the first of many. I plan to throw up more videos with this mower as we do some more testing of the batteries and the runtime and checking out some of the different speeds on the blades. I should be able to have it in any of those settings and complete 1.5 acres, I would think, because there are no asterisks, there are no little side notes about the 5 acres saying at this speed of the mower you can accomplish that. I'm gonna say this, it's already charging really fast too. Just in the duration of this video, we are up to a 14% battery after sitting at 0%. And this thing is supposed to fully charge in about 4 hours. So I guess that sounds a little bit right. It also could be charging maybe a little bit too fast. But again, maybe these batteries need a couple charges before it can actually start to run a little bit better. So more to come. Don't judge us too quickly. If you're still interested in this, don't let it stop you from pulling the trigger on this, but take into consideration if you're looking at the 30-inch or 42-inch models, you better have yourself 1 acre or less. That's my assumption. I would think with that 42-inch, I don't see how you could possibly do more than 1 acre with the amount of batteries they're providing you on that thing. Next, we'll show you guys the little shed we're gonna be putting this thing in. We gotta get that shed built. We got a little kit coming, so maybe check out, one of the links up here in the corner here if you're interested in that. Thank you for watching the video. Thanks for checking out my channel. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. That helps out a ton, along with smashing that like button. So stay tuned for more 80-volt Ryobi zero-turn mower videos to come. Thanks for watching.